belongs to the CIA triad of information security. Then the 10 cores or 10 core principles of the information assurance strategic or strategy, and also the partner agencies that covers or yeah that covers the laws and regulations, of course. It covers the cybersecurity and the data privacy act as well. And of course now we have also taken up the implication of the lack of information assurance. And of course we know what data to protect, and those are the personal data, the organization's data. So we have also identified different kinds of assets the organization have. And of course, we learned that we should be vigilant to protect um, those data or information from the intruders, the threat actors, and the hackers, right? So yeah, this afternoon we will be discussing Unit 2 for the information assurance planning process. So, medyo malisa kita, no? Medyo pabulag na kita sa path na wherein the CIT 243 and CIT 216 have common grounds, and those are the threats, the vulnerability, and the tools. No? So we will going to have the assurance planning process, and this is the a different types of products. All right. So just pull up my file. Right. So if you can see this on your screen. Need two approaches to implementing information assurance. Right? Okay, so information assurance process, which includes the different topics. So this chapter focuses on the key components of information assurance, implementation, followed by a discussion of the levels of organizational controls, and also compares the top-down and bottom-up approaches and indicates when a particular approach is more suitable. Of course, no organizations should always consider the different needs when balancing information assurance against the cost of implementing. Right, so later we will learn um, why does some of the companies does not really invest in the security management program or application, because it does not bring a revenue or yeah the investment or um, the ROI, no? Wala siya gabali. But of course, it comes in different forms man. Okay, so later we'll be discussing the chapters. So in Unit 2, it includes the subtopics approaches to implementing information assurance. Next, organizational structure for management in information assurance. The asset management, we have also the risk management and also the policy. some of which are already discussed no, in Unit 1, but later we'll have an in-depth discussion. And also the human resource assurance and the accreditation. Okay, now for 2.1 approaches to implementing assurance, here are the subtopics. We have the key components of IA, levels of control and managing chain security, the top-down approach, the bottom-up approach, although we have this already, but there is a discussion behind those approaches and also outsourcing and the cloud and the balancing information and associated costs. Now in implementing those approaches. Right, so for the key components, we have three key components of information assurance approaches. We have the people, the process, and the technology. Of course, not people. We consider them as the weakest link, right? In Unit 1, can you still remember? Um, they are the weakest link in the information, I sorry, in the infrastructure um, framework, right? So but in this chapter or in this unit, they are the most important one. Why? Because of course, no, sa organization, it could not exist if there are no people to manage it, right? If butang ka di, process lang ka lang, wala sang people, wala sang people in charge. So of course, no, it will not be implemented. It will not be materialized. No, this technology wala sa may ma-operate, right? So yeah, people are the biggest thing, but also people are the most important part of the organization. Okay, so yeah, moving on, people. With this, people are a challenging and crucial resource that needs management. By applying the right process and technology, people add value to the organization. So it needs, of course, awareness, training, and education um, to make information assurance work. Let's go to process. So process refers to the use of formalized sequence of action to achieve an aim. So as an organizations mature, the process or procedure should become more efficient and discriminating over time. And the last is the technology. So technology component requires examining the hardware, software, and physical facilities to ensure better operations and execution of the computer security process. So an organization should ensure that the hardware or software purchase is cost effective, meaningful, and useful. Right? So yeah. So with these three here, hindi kinahanglan nga hindi ilang tanan no the technology we need a balance of these three. So if you're going to operate or to manage a certain organization which you are a technology oriented or technology focused or process focused, you will not be able to deliver a human consideration, right? So kung tama ka naman ka people oriented na pag-manage, the processes and the technology will be jeopardized as well. So dapat kabalo ka mag-manage ang people as well as to use the processes and the technology. So there's a need for us to um, conduct balance no, within this three. Next, an important element of a security program is the collection of controls that an organization needs to have in place. Because each organization is unique, every security program is different. So um, we cannot compare each organization or each company against to each other because of course they have their own orientation, they have their own mechanism that needs a certain um, security programs that is efficient for them, right? So mga kapag isa read kasi libre ba yung ilang program, security program no? Lain man din sa fallbacks. Of course, no, they have their own specific needs for security. So every organization has its own risk profile, which is known to be exposure to unique threats and vulnerabilities, uh, business drivers, and compliance requirements. So with this, there are three levels of control in managing security. We have first, if you're going to see this pyramid here, on the top is the strategic management, which includes in security processes such as conducting a risk management exercises, awareness program, policy development and compliance effort with laws and regulations. So, of course, no, strategic management includes the executive level. Of course, it includes the CEO, the board or the board members. No, they are the law or the policy making bodies, no, which they have to for compliance with effort with laws and regulations. Next, the mid level here is the tactical management. So tactical management examines business continuity, data classification, process manage personal security and the risk management. Of course, no, this tactical management example niya is the chief administrative officer. So, work na nila or task nila to examine if the organization has business continuity, um, process management, ang personnel security pala, okay, and of course, no, there should have a risk management. Okay, next is the last one and the bottom. Um, Here is operational management. So it includes the areas of communication security. So it secures not the communication, the information systems, the life cycle, and the incident response. So the example of this is our management information systems. They are the ones in charge of the of the operations in terms of information technology or the information management unit or system unit method in the West State University. Next one. But there are two approaches, no? So, in implementing an information assurance program, the approach taken also plays a very important role. So, we have two, the top down and bottom up. Although we have this already included in our quiz, but still you have to know um, the steps for using bottom-up approach or top-bottom approach. Okay, so with the bottom-up approach, a situation in which a department utilizes a strategic, operational, or tactical management to develop a security program done without senior management support and direction. So, what is it good for? So, it helps areas in organization that needs immediate security attention. Now, for example of which are of course, no, security breach. Kung ang security breach hindi na siya ma-expect, no? That is not planned. That is unexpected. That is an incident. So, of course, if there are, let's say, wala sa mga senior management present, so there is a tendency that the operational management or the manager here is in charge to mitigate and control of the damage. No? So that is a bottom-up approach. So kung may breach, si MIS na ma-inform uh, to the tactical management and then up to the strategic management. And that is what is happening or what hasn't happened last yesterday, I think, no? Or data was breached. So it was, I think, posted in our Facebook. Okay, so yeah, so I think the management system, information system have already done their part, and then I think the upper level is now working on it. Okay, next, the advantages of the bottom up and the challenges, the faster integration, of course. No? So for challenges, it's gaining support from senior managers to get improvement from the subordinates. So once that concern is will get the attention of our senior managers or the strategic management, then there'll be ang muna na ang pagsuporta nyo or pag um, hatag nila sa support to the operational management. Next, top-down approach. So a top-down approach is used when management wants to improve overall reliability and does not know what the principal causes of problems may be. So senior management shows that um, it takes security seriously and actively involved in spreading information assurance awareness. So they should mandate observation of the information assurance policy. Next, I'm sorry. Next, right. Next one. Next, it is characterized by a high degree of control from head office. It, con- it includes the overall strategy of its approach and phases of implementation. And a problem with developing a top-down strategy is that it takes a longer time for approval. No? This creates slower decision making throughout the ranks, right? So because of sometimes no, the availability um, of the senior manager or the CEO happens to be they have a very hectic schedule. They need to discuss it whenever they have a common available time. So it will take a longer time no, to approve the top-down approach. Next is steps in implementing a top-down approach. Or the first steps, developing and presenting an approved, shared, and documented strategic plan. This strategic plan actually comes from the bottom, no, or the rank and file or the operations management. So second is prioritize area for control that should be identified. Third is to develop, approve, and distribute as an policy. And the last is this policy should be endorsed and communicated formally with the senior leaders and the organization's executive. Next is outsourcing and cloud computing. Now, when we say outsourcing, have you heard about the word outsourcing? Anyone? Can anyone share about the word outsourcing and diin mo na siya nabatian? And what is the concept of outsourcing? Some of you are working in the BPOs, right? Am I correct? Should I call someone's name para mag-participate? Yes? Rizal?
Ang outsourcing, ma'am, like, external or third party na siya nga ga-provide service para sa company, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Example?
Ah, na-mention mo na, ma'am, example is ang mga BPO companies
Mm-hmm.
naga-provide sila sang service nila sa company by sila ang ga-manage sang mga kinahanglan sang client sang company.
Yeah, okay. So is it only BPOs that outsource services? Do you still have another thing in mind? That's correct, Rizal. Okay, so anyone else? BPO lang ba ang nag-outsource? Yes, Hannah?
Customer service ma'am, puwede man siya ano, outsource.
Okay. Customer service like?
Um, may mga local din ma'am na mga customer service, pero hindi lang ko baan sa name,
Okay.
nalimutan na ko.
Sige. Alright. What else? In school, what do you think are... Yes, Reina? That's right. That's also outsourcing. What else? Kung diri lang sa local natin nga university, uh, the services na gina-outsource natin. Example, the janitors, no? Is a gina-outsource na. Why? Na gina-outsource ang mga services. What do you think is the advantage for our organization to outsource services like BPOs, like customer service? Ano ang balik na sa organization? Yes, Reina? That's right. No? So when that those mentioned by Raylan is actually the advantage for an organization, like cost effective. You can concentrate or you can focus on your um, task, no, while having some of your work outsourced. Right now, let's go for the disadvantage of your outsourcing. Ano naman ang disadvantage? Yeah. For example, ang ato ng IUIS, um, what will happen if it is outsourced? What will be compromised? Yes, Kyle.
In the case ng MIS ma'am, may possibility nga security risk, especially for example maka-access sila sa aton nga mga data, may possibility nga magka-data breach or mga theft ma'am.
Okay, definitely, no? Kung gin-outsource na naman nato na ang ato na IUIS, which is actually outsourced gid man, um, kinamanage in as a pinnacle, right? So, may mga times that our information will be put on jeopardized because, of course, no, we share our educational record, the record of the employee, the faculty, the students. So those are, of course, the disadvantages of outsourcing. Okay, so yeah, let's continue with our discussion. Let's see if those answers are correct. Okay, so outsource, it is progressively becoming standard practice to outsource information assurance management. Economic conditions, the sharp rise in IS incidents, and the complexity of the information assurance challenges are few of the elements that are fueling this trend. Okay, so next, the challenges, no, that we may encounter when we outsource, and of course now with the use of cloud, the loss of control. So since it is more difficult for businesses to stop using the services, an outsourcer would desire more control. So gusto nila, sila ang may control. At tigil pa, kumbaga, dugin pa subcontract sila pala. So a company could consequently become overly dependent on the service provider. So your sensitive information here the company desires to safeguard confidential information against improper use, abuse, and disclosure. Okay, your sensitive information will be put at risk. The quality of service. Okay, so the service level agreement and defined scope of work are the norm of outsourcing companies. So outsourcers, unlike internal workers, would be liable for extra or ad hoc jobs requests until paid. And the last here, viability of service provider to supply the agreed services. Now sometimes there are companies that could not pay nasa ang ilaging source, no? Because of course there are mismanagement, inadequate funding, merging. So the reason why the two companies merge because of their partnerships, and of course, no, there will be sharing of resources, and that would affect no, the services, the agreed services na provide sa company. So, and acquisitions are possible factors that could lead to a problem or loss of services. So, may mga disadvantage kit na dala. Each advantage have a corresponding disadvantage. Na? Next is okay, consideration in outsourcing the information. So we have to consider maintenance security control. So after using an outsourced service, including cloud services, business should be aware that the staff of the service provider may have direct control over their information assets. So yeah, it will be or it should be um, stated in the service level agreement, the limitation of the staff. No, kung sino ang makakapag sa information, there will be a non-disclosure agreement, there will be a service level agreements no? Para to protect ang information assets sa isa ka organization. Next is perform due diligence. Now, we forgot to discuss this in our unit one, but we have this due diligence. So, with due diligence, um, organizations should have procedures in place to carry out due diligence documents before issue an outsourcing contract, including verifying the provider's credentials and background. Information against improper use, abuse, and disclosure. Of course, no. When we hire somebody or when we get the service of anybody, the first thing that the company or the organization will do is to do a background check. Okay, to verify the existence, to verify the identity of this person or this service providers, no? Their credentials. There will be no bad record, of course. No? So those are things to be considered in using outsourcing information. Second one is audit. The third one is audit process and facilities prior to signing an agreement and regularly after thereafter. So after you do a verification, of course, no, select provider before you commit or before the signing of your agreements, um, independent audits on providers information assurance management process at least twice a year. All right, so it should also be stated in it should also be stated in the SLA. All right, next Now, things to remember when and outsourcing or using cloud services. Top-down approach is mandatory. Senior executives are responsible for the performance of the security functions of their cloud or outsourcing partners. Okay, so organizations have used frameworks. If you can still remember our lesson with frameworks, um, here in Information Systems Audit and Control Association, ISACA, the Cloud Security Alliance or the CSA, and the newest NIST. Here is a service cybersecurity control framework for cloud computing that is considered the de facto standard for cloud security and privacy. And the third one, the things that we consider is organizations will be subject to laws and regulations of their headquarters and the outsourcing partner and cloud provider. Of course, no. Uh, if you are here in the Philippines, of course, ang laws and regulations of the Philippines, ano na siya ang ma-rule. Hindi niya ang law to yan US. Okay, so it should be stated in the service level agreement or the SLA that outlines the level of service you expect from a vendor, the metrics it will be monitored, and any penalties if the predetermined service levels are not fulfilled. Okay? So, ang mga penalties also should be stated in the SLA if ever that the services is not delivered. Okay? Now, how to balance an information assurance and the associated cost. Of course, ang isa ka company talaga guys, hindi na siya yung magpagawa kwarta kung wala balik. Can you relate? Can you understand? Siyempre, kung ikaw ang investors, ikaw ang kakapot kwarta. If you have the money, will you um, mapagwa ka kwarta na wala sa kasiguraduhan na balik? Di bala hindi, no? Because as an investor, you expect a return on investment or the ROI, right? Now, how do we associate costs or expenditures or expenses in terms of security management to implement the information assurance? So, um, there will be an explanation for that, no? It is important for the senior management and security professionals to understand all views on security expenditures. Of course, no, para sa business or organization or the income generating companies, revenue revenue generating activities are very important for them because business is business. So kung ano yung paggawa nila, dapat ang mabalik sila doble, right? So activities no motivate senior management. Therefore, they focus on productivity and activities related directly to it. So the fact that it is not directly discussed na, to calculate a return on security investment or the ROSI makes keeping management support more difficult. Okay, do you agree? Kung ikaw ang organization or company or in charge ka sa finance, of course, no, to medyo hindi ka mapagawa medyo just for the sake of that security management, right? But um, the return of this investment is actually can be seen sa if the early implementation of the security controls, no, it reduces the probability of the high losses. Okay, so because of the security incidents, implement new controls once the organization resolves the situation and cleans up the damage. This is already a return of investment, right? Because kung panumdumon ta, wala sa may mapirdi sa imo, right? But if you're not going to invest or if you're not going to implement ay security expenditure, who knows, no, mas dako pa, millions pa gid ang nadula, right? So maybe those things are needed, no, for a senior management to understand all views of security expenditure. Okay? Yeah, there are key points, no, in this um, topic. So first, prior to applying a top-down or bottom-up approach, an organization needs to analyze the associated factors and costs of protecting the information. So factors such as performance, availability, and coverage are part, of course, of the analysis. So, yeah, i-analyze niya na before ka magpagawa sa porta or invest in the security expenditures, you have also to know, identify first, no, the level of or the categories of your organization. Base lima lang kabilog imo nga empleyado ma-invest gid sa million nga security expenditure. So of course not, no? We have also to balance. Kung, like for example, small enterprise ka pa lang, you have to choose kung ano lang ang dapat obrahon, no? Ano lang ang mga measures, security measures to observe. No? So you have to uh, analyze, yes, analysis first. So this type of investment is good since it examines the overall information assurance posture of the organization. Um, from a customer's point of view, organizations should take full advantage of productivity and opportunity by, of course, deploying proper controls to ensure continuity and to increase customers' trust and usage. Next. Senior management needs to consider the impact of the organization if they do not adequately mitigate risk. Kinangan naintindihan sa senior management ang impact sa organization kung hindi sila mag-observe sa mitigation or to mitigate risk. Although hindi na siya matabo, subong later, right? So what will happen? No? So what are the assets of the organization will be put on risk kung hindi ka mo mag-implement or mitigate risk. Okay, so finally, organizations should protect not only their own customers' asset but also associated brands, networks, and websites. All online content, communication, and commerce should be protected with every layer of data transmission and storage. No? Okay, so last is end-to-end security is not only necessary to preserve customers' confidence and encourage online usage, but also to avoid regulatory penalties, but financial liabilities, and consequential losses. Yeah, those are the topics under under the approaches to implementing information assurance. Okay, so yeah, I'll give you 5 minutes to take a break and then please be back for a second subtopic for this unit. All right, so yeah, we'll have a 5 minute break, please. Right. So yeah, it's feedback. Okay, so we proceed to the second subtopic of planning process. We have organizational structure for managing information assurance. So, are you familiar with the organization's chart sa kada company nakatuan? So, this is very important no, on how people are put in place. Okay? Ano ang qualify nila para ibutang sila sa mga organization structure. Okay? Next, the topic that covers for today is of course now definition or structure of an organization information assurance. Staffing, we have also the organizational maturity, which includes the ITIM or the Information Technology Infrastructure Library. We have the capability maturity model and the organizational change maturity model. Okay, now for our first one, um, what is the importance the popular phrase is an IA or information is a process and not a one-off view event. One-off view event is always true. So a continuous improvement process adds to an effective information assurance program. Next is this involves the activities such as the monitoring the program periodically, measuring um, performance, and evaluating the effectiveness of controls, conducting security audits, and performing risk and reassessments. So a good information assurance management program or the IAMP is pervasive. It permits or it permits um, multiple level of the enterprise and provides benefits to the organizational culture. And the last is every level enhance the entire organizational security profile by using various types of authority and resources. Um, there are what we call three structure of information assurance organization. First is the centralized, distributed, and the hybrid. For centralized, example, so it is managed under a centralized unit with ultimate accountability and responsibility for the program. So a centralized management program is more suited for a smaller organization that have limited resources and budget. For example, some example of activities that should be centralized includes the following. Um, Defining information assurance roles, responsibilities, and authorities. Next is developing IT security architecture. Next is developing policies and guidelines and organizing an awareness program. And of course, setting up a computer emergency readiness team, capability, and conducting training for the selected personnel or the CERT. Alright, so those are the activities that should be centralized. So this is an example of the centralized security model. Of course, no. This abbreviation here, and so the organization or company, they have their own descriptive title for each staff or each personnel. No? CIO, um, it's a Chief Information Officer, right? Mga ano pala. So, the CISO I know is Chief Information Security Officer. And, okay, so these are under this unit, this governs or the governance risk and program management, sila ang nagapatupad or um, they are the policy making body. No? So they cover the policy assurance, compliance strategies, program risk awareness, and business capacity. While under the ITSM, or the Information Technology Service Management, infrastructure and data protection is under it. Identity and I'm sorry, identify and access management, and also the security operation centers are all under the this unit, the ITSM. So if you're going to check, no, sa ang mga arrows, ano yung mga, yeah, ang mga arrow man it is very important to know na diin ka mong office under, ano ka sa mga unit. No, so this three here is under the unit of ITSM. Right? So sa mga organizational chart, there you would know kung anong position, sino ang under kay sino. Okay? Now next structure, we have the distributed structure where the roles, responsibilities, and authorities are spread throughout the organization's business units, operations area, and geographical location. Better business with complex organization with multiple location, international branches, and business units. Okay, so those are distributed structure. The hybrid structure is a mixture of centralized and distributed structure. So it features centralized management of information assurance with decentralized execution of security activities. From a practical perspective, a hybrid structure attempts to avoid redundant task and waste of resources. So the centralized part promotes uniformity in activities across the organization, while the distributed part allows the easier enforcement of policy and internal regulations across the organization. Now, with this kind of organization structure, the question is, um, where does West Visayas State University falls under this three structure? We have the centralized, we have the distributed, and we have the hybrid. The INSEE West Visayas State University system-wide na fall under. Can you identify West as what kind of structure or what type of organizational structure? Anyone? If you have noticed, no, West Visayas together with the external campuses recently have the university days or the university week. Okay, so what can you observe? You observe that tingog kita mag-celebrate sa university week, right? So we have those activities nga it makes us united, right? For uniformity, may ala kita nga mga moments na tingog ang university and external campuses sa mga activities na mga. But of course, no, our resources, our funding actually have their own resources. So, wala ka kuha si Haniway sa aton sa ilang budget because they have their own. They have also their own policies, no? They have their own security measures, no? Na ginapati aside from the main campus. Now, where does the West Visayas system-wide falls under what organizational structure? Ano nga org structure? Yes, Raynan. Okay, so policy making body is created by the board of regents. That is like a centralized um, structure, right? But if you have observed, there are activities na or yung policy na wala di sa aton, hindi kita part ng main campus from the external campuses, right? Mm, for example, uh, they have their own hinamtang. They have their yes, Kyle,
I think ma'am hybrid, ma'am.
hybrid.
Because yes, because ang asa sa hambal ni Reyna yung centralized sa may part na sa sang main campus whereas regarding naman sa mga external campus distributed ang ilang ang ang pag-manage dito, ma'am.
Mhm. Yeah, that's right. No? Some of the activities are unified or uniwide, and also there are some mansig lang sila apply on their own policies. So yes, it is a hybrid structure type of organization. Okay, so yeah, I'll continue. Okay, so hybrid structure. So this is a conceptual model of the hybrid structure, organizational structure. So you need then of various traditional organization structures such as functional, divisional, matrix, and flat structure tailored to meet organization specific needs. It aims to leverage the strength of different structural elements while mitigating their weaknesses. Key aspects of structure, of course, no, may include something like this. So, may ara nga part na centralized sila, may ara nga part na they are group, no, according to their basic needs. Okay, next. Now let's go to informational assurance. Information assurance staffing. Paano ni siya ginapastar ang mga staff or mga personnel na ini under the information assurance structure or organizational structure? Choosing the appropriate persons to undertake information related tasks and assigning them are crucial activities. So first, this is based on the roles of and responsibility of each, no? And of course, ang ilang qualifications as well. So they are grouped or they are placed in the higher rank if you belong to senior management. Okay? So this is an example of organizational structure in an IT industry, let's say. Okay, so yes, at the top is the chief information security officer, followed by the um, the personnel, no, under it. Okay, next one. So under the senior management unit, we will find the chief of executive officer, which is CEO, the chief risk officer, of course, now followed by the chief information officer. So CISO or the CISO officer and the chief security officer. And of course, no, the accreditation accrediting official. So yes, this staff here or this official or this officer here is assigned with the accountability for information systems in assurance process. So accrediting official accepts responsibility for unmitigated risk. So they serve as the official liaison, no? For example, the ISO, may mga ISO accreditation like that. So they are the ones who, of course, no, nag evaluate sa mga accreditation process, the approval of information systems plans. They see to it that we comply with the ISO 27001 and 002 as well. No? Um, they are the ones who monitor and implement the plans of actions and milestones and the assessments of risk. Next is the information assurance unit. So, under this, there are a group of people naman na, like, for example, control assessors. We have engineers. We have architects. We have security officers. So, when we say engineers, we have, or they are software engineers, okay? So, when we say architect, they are mga they are concerned with the IT infrastructure of the framework. No? It covers all the, for example, the information assurance na topic, no, or subject. Next, technology and service providers. So technology and service providers supply information assurance. Like for example, the consultancies, the services, and the products. So a successful implementation of this assurance requires participation from other supporting functions. Technology providers such as programmers, the help desk, database administrators, systems administrators or network administrators, information systems or business analysts, while the service providers includes the physical security, facility management, property management, human resource department, and the audit, of course, the legal and the risk management. The information systems owner units are responsible for addressing the operational interest for the users community. So that is, yeah, it includes all types of users actually. Common control provider or the CCP is a group of individual or organization responsible for development, implementation, assessment, and monitoring of common controls. Common controls are responsible for documenting the organization's identified common controls, ensuring that required assessment of common controls are carried out by qualified assessors, documenting assessment findings, no, as well. So we identify our users, which plays a very significant role and specific responsibility for implementing information assurance. Now they are the owner or the steward of the information. So is an organization official with statutory management for operational authority for specific information and responsibility for establishing the policies and procedures governing its generation, collection, processing, and dissemination and disposal. Now we identify these users as user of information and users of the system. So, with users of information, they are the people, the organization, or the other entities that are considered to be the consumers of the services of the information systems, while the user of the systems are individuals who directly use an information systems and whose duties are to follow information assurance procedures. So, if you are a let's say a customer or a consumer, you are considered to be users of information. But if you are the ones who handle the information system, then you are the users of systems, right? Okay, next we go to organizational maturity. So when we have our educational tour last year, last November, no, one of the companies discussed the ITIL. So I remember that isa sa among topic ni information assurance um, was actually the ITIL, this one. But it was not briefly discussed with the students. No, it was just defined. Okay, so yeah, later the lecturer or the company's staff asked something about the ITIL in one of our students. So medyo na tulala ang student, so wala siya naging answer. No? So yeah, I guess though medyo may mga confusion at that time. So yeah, now I'll be discussing this no one by one. ITIL, CMM, and the OCCM. So ITIL is the Information Technology Infrastructure Library. So it's a service delivery specific model. So meaning service delivery lang siya. No? It was designed to bring order and control around the growing reliance on information technology in government businesses. Now, is ITIL applicable to private na mga industries? Of course, no. No, because ITIL is just um, exclusive for government businesses. So ITIL addresses information assurance through the reference of ISO 27001 series like 001 or 002. No? So it depends kung ano ang area na i-cover niya. So it also requires IA through organizational governance and alignment with the organizational goals. Let's classify or differentiate the ITSM and the ITIL. No? These two here is crucial. So as they form the foundation of the best practice for effective IT service management. So with the ITIL here, it covers service design, release management, and sorry, service design and release management. So later you will know the process, no, how to handle ITIL. With ITSM here, it has several steps to achieve that service. Okay, next is takeaways for ITIL. ITSM and ITIL are both crucial concepts in effective IT service management. ITSM is an overarching um, approach, while ITIL is specific framework for implementing